Hello, welcome to my space station. Today, let's explore a hypothesis. Now, this hypothesis, as you might already see on the screen, is called the Panspermia Hypothesis. Now, this is like very different from our ideas like on how life even began on Earth. Most people believe that life began on Earth as evolution, as the bacteriums that were created from the protein structures that were like left over on Earth, they evolved into more complex life structures, and those cells then were made more complex, and those cells merged with other cells to create microorganisms, and then those microorganisms became multicellular and then became into the humans we know today. Now, there is a challenge to this theory. Now, this is not proven, obviously. There is a challenge to this theory called the panspermia theory. Now, this theory was mostly proposed by the Greek philosopher Anaxagoras in 450 BCE. Now, his proposal was that life did not begin on Earth, but life began somewhere else and was transported to Earth. And different people across the decades, such as the recent one by a British person around the 18th century, worked on this more and expanded this idea of panspermia. Now, panspermia is defined under three categories. There is ballistic panspermia, there is lithopanspermia, and there is directed panspermia. Now, ballistic panspermia is the spreading of the seeds of life. Now, what do we classify seeds of life? You can classify that as either rocks, asteroids, or comets containing some microorganisms which have the ability to reproduce. So these rocks can be ejected by a planet, and the first type, which is ballistic panspermia, is a type in which it is only spread within a star system. Basically, let's imagine we have planet A, B, and C, and we have a star. Let's say planet B develops life, and then the seeds of life are then transferred naturally to planet C and then planet A, and it does not go beyond the star system. Now, this is ballistic panspermia. The second type is lithopanspermia. Now, this is the spreading from one star system to the other. So basically, let's say the same scenario, planet B ejects seeds of life into outer space, and those microorganisms travel for a long time and eventually land on some planet with the proper conditions for life on a different star system, and then life begins over there. Now, that's lithopanspermia. Now, one of the questions coming to your mind is, how is it possible for a microorganism to survive these long, cold, dark journeys? Well, it might not be completely proven that this is possible, but microorganisms can survive in very, very harsh conditions by hibernating. Because they are so small, their requirement for energy is also very, very less as compared to us humans. That's why even in very cold temperatures, even when there is less food available, less light for photosynthesis and all, the microorganisms, the tiny, tiny bacteria can still survive. They can just shut down their body systems. Now, for how long exactly, we do not know. That's why this theory is a theory, and that's why we have not proven it yet. So that's the possibility that, okay, maybe they can, because they're going to shut themselves down, maybe they can, and as soon as they land on a planet with the correct conditions for life, then they can turn themselves back on, start reproducing, start evolving and all. That's the idea of lithopanspermia. The idea of directed panspermia is slightly different. It is a voluntary transfer of the seeds of life from one planet to the other, or one star system to the other. Now, what do I mean by voluntary? As in, there is a separate species, a special intelligent species, that on purpose tries to create life on another planet. Now, many people have proposed that the life on Earth was not the first to be made. Maybe there was maybe an extraterrestrial civilization which created seeds of life and then transported them over to Earth and then just vanished without a trace to let us humans evolve. Now, obviously, this is a theory, as you can tell by now. Now, the ideas might seem far-fetched. This might not seem very possible. But considering the fact that without any interference, now at this point we have to get into religion, but ignoring that part, at this point the protein structures would have to evolve, and how would a non-living thing turn into a living thing? The ideas behind it are very complex. Now, panspermia does attempt to explain it by saying that all life has to be created by something. But then, what was the first life that ever created into existence that spread the seeds of life ever come into existence. Now here is where we get into a controversy, so I won't get into that. But aside from that, I have to let you few more information. Panspermia has 3 stages. Now, any of those 3 that I mentioned is further split down into 3 like stages. They are escape, transit, and landing. Escape is when the seeds of life are ejected either through an asteroid collision, basically on the planet, when an asteroid is crashing down, there's lots of debris in the air. It's possible that debris might contain some microorganisms. There are different ways. Maybe it could be voluntary. Maybe the civilizations could, on purpose, like have something, a container, load some microorganisms in it, and eject it into space. That's just the escape part. The transit part is when the microorganisms travel between the place of ejection and their landing spot, the planet which we intended to go, or the planet which we randomly drift into. And landing is when they break the atmosphere, they come down, and they eventually land on the surface and begin spreading. So this was the idea of panspermia that I presented to you. It seems pretty interesting, though a little far-fetched, but it's definitely an interesting concept which could be worked on in the coming decades. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.